Almost everyone knows Microsoft, but very few know how one impossible dream changed the entire world.
Almost everyone has used a Microsoft product at least once in their life. But here's the surprising question. How did one small software company become one of the most powerful businesses on the planet? Today, Microsoft helps run schools, hospitals, banks, airports, governments, and millions of businesses every single day. Its software powers computers across the world. Its cloud services support countless websites and apps, and its technology reaches billions of people, without most of them even thinking about it. But none of this was guaranteed. There was a time when Microsoft was just a tiny company with a handful of people and one big idea that sounded almost impossible. Back then, computers weren't sitting on family desks or inside backpacks. They filled entire rooms, cost enormous amounts of money, and were mostly used by large companies, universities, and government organizations. Most people believed ordinary families would never need a computer at home. Two young programmers looked at that world and saw something completely different. They believed that one day, every home and every office would have a personal computer. It sounded unrealistic, maybe even crazy. But that single belief became the foundation of everything that followed. The incredible part is that Microsoft's journey wasn't a straight path to success. The company made risky bets, faced powerful competitors, missed important opportunities, and survived moments when many experts believed its best days were already over. Yet somehow it kept finding new ways to reinvent itself. So how did Microsoft survive while so many famous technology companies disappeared? What decisions changed its future forever? And why does this company still play such a huge role in the world after nearly 50 years? To answer those questions, we have to travel back to a time before Windows, before Xbox, before cloud computing, before artificial intelligence, to the year 1975, when two lifelong friends saw a future that almost nobody else could imagine. The story begins with two friends who shared the same obsession. Bill Gates loved solving problems with code, while Paul Allen spent countless hours exploring how computers could change the future. Long before Microsoft existed, they believed computers wouldn't stay locked inside giant companies forever. One day they would become personal, affordable, and useful for everyone. In January 1975, a magazine called Popular Electronics featured a new machine called the Altair 8800 on its cover. It wasn't a modern computer with a colorful screen or a keyboard. It was a simple kit that users had to assemble themselves. But to Bill and Paul, it represented something much bigger. They immediately realized this tiny machine could become the beginning of a completely new industry. There was only one problem. The Altair had no programming language that everyday people could actually use. Instead of waiting for someone else to solve the problem, Bill Gates picked up the phone and contacted the company that built the Altair. He confidently said they already had software ready for the machine. There was just one small detail. They hadn't actually finished writing it yet. It was a huge risk. Bill and Paul worked day and night, writing and testing their software against impossible deadlines. Every mistake could have ended the opportunity before it even started. After weeks of intense work, they finally demonstrated their program, and it worked. That single success became the first major breakthrough of their careers. Soon after, the two friends officially created a new company. They combined the words microcomputer and software, creating a simple name that would eventually become known around the world: Microsoft. At first, the company was incredibly small. There were no massive offices, no thousands of employees, and certainly no billion-dollar business. It was simply a handful of talented people working long hours with one clear mission: to build software for the personal computer revolution they believed was coming. Most people still couldn't imagine a computer sitting on every desk, but Microsoft wasn't building for the world as it was. It was building for the world it believed was about to arrive. And that decision would soon change everything. Microsoft had a great product, but building good software wasn't enough. The company needed one opportunity that could completely change its future, and that opportunity arrived just a few years later. In 1980, IBM, already one of the biggest names in computing, was preparing to launch its first personal computer. The company needed an operating system, the software that tells a computer how to work and allows people to interact with it. At first, IBM looked elsewhere, but those talks didn't lead to a deal. That opened the door for Microsoft. The surprising part is that Microsoft didn't even own the operating system IBM needed. Instead of giving up, Bill Gates and his team moved incredibly fast. They found an existing operating system created by another developer, secured the rights to it, improved it, and delivered it to IBM. That system became known as MS-DOS. But the smartest decision wasn't just providing the software. Microsoft negotiated a licensing agreement that allowed the company to license its operating system to other computer manufacturers as well. At the time, very few people realized how important that decision would become. As more companies started building IBM-compatible computers, many of them also licensed Microsoft software. Every new computer helped Microsoft software spread even further. Instead of relying on a single hardware company, Microsoft quietly became the software company behind an entire generation of personal computers. Within just a few years, millions of people were using computers powered by Microsoft software, often without even realizing it. That single business decision created a foundation that competitors would struggle to match for decades. But technology never stands still. A new challenge was already beginning to appear. People no longer wanted to type confusing commands on a black screen. They wanted something much simpler, something they could actually see and click. That challenge would lead Microsoft to create one of the most recognizable products in technology history, Windows. In 1985, Microsoft introduced Windows. The very first version was simple and limited compared to what we know today, but it represented a completely different way of using a computer. Instead of typing commands into a black screen, people could interact with windows, icons, menus, and a mouse. It wasn't an instant success. Early versions of Windows faced criticism, and many people still preferred other systems, but Microsoft didn't stop improving it. Every new version became faster, easier to use, and more useful for everyday people. Then came Windows 95, and everything changed. Stores around the world held midnight launch events. Customers lined up to buy the new software, and for many families, it became their very first modern computer experience. Suddenly, using a computer no longer felt like something only experts could do. It felt simple, familiar, and accessible. As Windows spread across homes, schools, and businesses, another Microsoft product quietly became just as important. Microsoft Office brought Word, Excel, and PowerPoint together into one package, giving students, teachers, small businesses, and large companies the tools they needed every day. The combination of Windows and Office created a powerful ecosystem. The more people used Windows, the more valuable Office became, and the more businesses depended on Office, the harder it became to switch to another platform. This wasn't just smart software design. It was one of the strongest business strategies in modern technology. By the late 1990s, Microsoft had become one of the biggest names in the industry. It looked almost unstoppable. But success brought something else with it: greater competition, greater pressure, and greater attention from regulators. Many people believed Microsoft had reached the top. What almost nobody knew was that its biggest challenges were still waiting just around the corner. The internet was growing faster than anyone expected. Smartphones were about to change the world, and new competitors like Google and Apple were preparing to reshape the entire technology industry. Microsoft's next chapter would decide whether it remained a global leader or slowly faded into history. By the early 2000s, Microsoft was still one of the biggest technology companies in the world, but the industry was changing faster than ever. Search engines were becoming the new way people explored the internet. Smartphones were beginning to replace traditional computers for everyday tasks, and cloud computing was slowly starting to reshape how businesses stored and used data. Microsoft continued to succeed in many areas, but it also missed some important opportunities. Its search engine struggled against Google. Its mobile operating system never gained the same popularity as Android or the iPhone, and many people started wondering if Microsoft's best years were already behind it. Investors became cautious. Technology experts questioned whether the company could still innovate the way it once had. For the first time in years, Microsoft no longer looked like the company leading every major technology trend. Then, in 2014, everything began to change. Satya Nadella became Microsoft's new chief executive officer, and instead of trying to protect the past, He focused on preparing the company for the future. One of his biggest decisions was to invest heavily in cloud computing through Microsoft Azure. Instead of relying only on selling software that people installed on their own computers, Microsoft started helping businesses run applications, store data, and manage digital services through secure cloud infrastructure. Companies of every size, from small startups to global corporations, began moving more of their operations to the cloud. At the same time, Microsoft changed the way many of its products were offered. Services like Microsoft 365 introduced subscription-based access, allowing users to receive regular updates and new features instead of waiting years for a completely new version. This created a more stable business while giving customers continuously improving software. Slowly but steadily, Microsoft's image began to change. It was no longer seen as a company living in the past. It was becoming one of the companies helping build the future, and that transformation was only getting started. Just as Microsoft's cloud business was gaining momentum, another technological shift was beginning to capture the world's attention: artificial intelligence. While many people were only starting to hear about AI, Microsoft had already spent years investing in research, developer tools, and intelligent software. Then came one of the company's most talked about decisions. Microsoft invested billions of dollars in its partnership with OpenAI, bringing advanced AI technology into products that millions of people already used every day. Instead of treating AI as a separate tool, Microsoft began weaving it into Windows, Microsoft 365, GitHub, Azure, and its Copilot family of assistants. Imagine having a digital assistant that can help summarize long documents, organize information, write code, or answer questions in seconds. That was the future Microsoft believed businesses and everyday users would want, and it moved quickly to build it. At the same time, Azure became one of the world's leading cloud platforms, helping companies build websites, run applications, analyze massive amounts of data, and develop AI systems without creating their own expensive infrastructure. Every year, more organizations chose cloud services instead of buying and maintaining large numbers of physical servers. Microsoft's strategy was no longer centered around just one product like Windows. It had built an entire ecosystem where cloud computing, productivity software, cybersecurity, developer tools, gaming, business services, and artificial intelligence worked together. That diversification made the company stronger because it wasn't relying on a single source of success. Today, Microsoft's technology supports hospitals, schools, banks, governments, research organizations, and businesses in almost every part of the world. Even if you don't use Windows every day, there's a good chance you still interact with Microsoft's technology somewhere behind the scenes. And perhaps the most remarkable part of this story isn't that Microsoft became one of the world's most valuable companies. It's that nearly 50 years after it was founded, the company is still reinventing itself instead of standing still. In technology, that's one of the hardest things any business can do. Looking back, it's easy to think Microsoft's success was inevitable, but history tells a very different story. The company succeeded because it kept adapting whenever technology changed. It started with software for early personal computers, expanded into operating systems, built productivity tools used around the world, embraced cloud computing as businesses moved online, and is now investing heavily in artificial intelligence. Not every product became a success. Microsoft has launched ideas that failed, entered markets where competitors moved faster, and made decisions that didn't always work out. But instead of letting those setbacks define the company, it learned from them and kept moving forward. That's one of the biggest lessons behind Microsoft's story. Long-term success isn't about getting every decision right. It's about recognizing change early, learning from mistakes, and continuing to improve while the world keeps moving. Nearly 50 years after two young programmers started a small software company, Microsoft remains one of the most influential technology businesses on the planet. Its products help people learn, work, communicate, create, build companies, write software, play games, and increasingly use artificial intelligence in everyday life. And the story is still being written. As AI, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and new technologies continue to evolve, Microsoft will face new opportunities and new challenges, just as it has many times before. Whether it stays at the top will depend on how well it adapts to whatever comes next. One thing is certain: Microsoft's journey proves that the biggest companies aren't simply built by having the best idea, they're built by continuing to evolve long after everyone else thinks the story is finished. Now, here's a question for you. Which Microsoft product has had the biggest impact on your life? Windows, Office, Xbox, Azure, or AI tools like Copilot? Let everyone know in the comments. If you enjoyed learning the real story behind one of the world's biggest technology companies, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more documentary-style stories, and share it with a friend who loves technology and business.